Let me guess, you've heard it just like I have. You're too masculine, you're too aggressive, you're too this, you're too that. Listen, trust me, I understand. I'm here for you. I heard it all before too. And in fact, that used to be an insult to me. It used to be an insult because it was one of my biggest insecurities. Let's talk about it. What is up, QC fam? It is Joy, also known as Queen Chef, chef, author, healer. I am a chef by trade, writer by gift, healer by nature. Listen, one thing I've learned about hearing you're too masculine, you're too aggressive, number one, the people who used to say it to me are the people who were simply intimidated by my energy. They were intimidated by the way that I showed up, the way I show up authentically, the way I show up, and I don't care what anybody has to say. Now, I'm not gonna say that it was 100% false, but for somebody to constantly tell you you're too anything, one, it's not contributing to the solution at all. You're not contributing to the solution. And the part that made me the most upset about it was I was insecure about it. I was insecure about people telling me I was masculine or I was aggressive because I knew it came from a place. I knew that in everything I did and everything I do, I have good intention. So for me, it was an insult because it's like, damn, like you're insulting my very existence. You're insulting my entire being. Because at that point, me not knowing yet that comes from a place of survival, that comes from just simply being in survival mode, I'm thinking to myself like, damn, you insulting everything that's gotten me to the point that I am. And that's why I no longer accept that from people. Like, if you're not coming with a solution, if you're not coming with something to add to the conversation about how to help women, particularly Black women, improve on this, then I don't really want to hear from you. I don't really want to hear from you because, quite frankly, we hear enough about what the heck we are too much of, too much attitude, too much this, like we hear that all the time. And honestly, like I said, for me, it's not that I didn't have aggression. I'm not saying it wasn't 100%. I'm not saying it wasn't true in a sense, but we have to, in order for us to truly heal and get to places of healing, especially Black women, I'm gonna keep saying that because we get attacked with this the most, especially when it comes to being compared to other races of women. We didn't grow up the same. We're not the same. Like, I know for me, if you grew up anything like I did, you had too much responsibility too early. I developed anxiety at a really early age, and my mama used to call me like a worry ward. You worry too much, don't worry about that. And it's like, that did nothing to help the anxiety. That did nothing to teach me how to control it. However, or to even get a handle on it. To this day, I still have anxiety, and it's a constant thing trying to keep it in check. But my point is, if you grew up and any of these things were a factor for you, like I said, too much responsibility, anxiety, worrying about stability, we also moved around a lot. All of those things contributed to who I became. And so when people would look at me and you see more masculine energy than you do feminine, it's because it comes from a place. It comes from the way I grew up. It comes from being the second oldest of 5 kids, and I have responsibilities like cooking, ironing uniforms, and packing lunches at 12 and 13 years old for the 3 kids that were younger than me. You know what I'm saying? And this is no slight to my parents, no shade to my parents, no shade to the way I grew up, because a lot of us grew up like this. But what we have to understand is it affects us. It affects who we become. It affects how we become. It affects how we move through the world. Because naturally, I'm in a household with 5 kids, a single mom, and nobody's dad is there. In a household like that, some of that responsibility is going to fall on those older kids, and it did for myself and my older sister. But what it also did was it puts you in survival mode because you're seeing survival. I tell people all the time, like I remember one time there was this post, it was a post on Facebook, and it was talking about how, getting your nails done, your eyebrows done, all of that. This was some years ago. It's like, all of that is just supposed to be a part of your regular maintenance. That's supposed to, just as a woman. And this is like, I remember another one, even before that, I was 18 at the time. I'm 33 now. So I was 18, I was a freshman at FAMU, and some of the girls were talking about getting waxes, getting the vajayjay wax. And I said, oh, I want to try that. And one of the guys there, so I'm 18, he's all of 19, 20 maybe. And so he says, why you don't know about it? You should have been doing that. What have you been doing? You old enough to know better, da, da, da. And I'm just like, it pissed me off. But it also, those are the kinds of things that contributed to my insecurity. Those are the kinds of things that contributed to me feeling like being called masculine and aggressive was an insult. And to the point where it later in life, in my 20s, did actually become an insecurity for me, because everybody wasn't taught that. And y'all got to start giving grace. Like, it almost brings tears to my eyes, because it upsets me that people get in these, not even in boxes, but it upsets me that people don't consider more. When y'all come up with these blanket things, like when the internet come up with this stuff and these rules of how women should be, especially Black women. I'm gonna slow down for a minute, y'all, because I'm not finna cry. I'm finna get through this video so I can go on about my day. It pisses me off the most when it's done to Black women, because we spend so much, we have such good intentions. We spend so much time comforting, nurturing, even when it's in an aggressive way, or when it's, I guess you could say, passive aggressive, or we spend so much time nurturing and giving in our own way, but for us still to be judged so harshly by the world is crazy to me. And it's hurtful to me, because it's like, okay, just fuck whatever got me here. Fuck how I became this. Like, that's just irrelevant. And I'm not saying that to make an excuse, because there is going to be a part 2 of this video where I talk about how I learned to balance my energies, how I use my duality to my advantage, and how I use it in my everyday life. Because another factor is, a lot of us are smart as hell. A lot of us are used to being the smartest one in the room sometimes, especially in our workplaces. So we get put in leadership positions. A leadership position is a more masculine role. You have to call on and rely on your more masculine energies. So as a result, you tend to use that more and more. Now, obviously, yes, you want to learn how to turn those things off. You want to learn how, you do have to code switch your energies in a sense, because at work, I've always been in leadership, always been in food service, and since 19 years old, I've been in leadership roles. So that's just a part of how I operate. Now, as I got older and I started to date more and I got in relationships, then I learned to balance those things out. However, that's not what this video is about. Part 2, I will discuss more about what I did, some of the things I did to contribute to me learning, like I said, learning how to balance those energies and not leading with my masculine energy, because that's the difference. But that's a separate conversation. And that one I want to have specifically with Black women, for Black women. So there's going to be a part 2. But this video is just to bring attention to the fact that I don't want you to feel, one, don't feel alone. You're not alone. Don't get caught up in these social media aesthetics. Don't get caught up in this soft girl life bullshit of like pink everything, and now you're I'm just a girl. What y'all say? I'm just a girl. I'm such a girl. Like, because you put on a bunch of pink, or you got your custom Starbucks order and all that shit. Like, don't get caught up in that. I want you to know this is for the girlies who have also had insecurities around being called masculine, called aggressive, and it's like, it's made you insecure. Because this is, like I said, it was one of my biggest insecurities. And one thing about me, I'm gonna have some real talk. That's what we're gonna do, because I don't want to do the fluff. I don't want to talk about what's popular to talk about. I want to talk about the things we need to talk about in order to heal ourselves. Because when we heal, especially Black women, we have the power to heal a nation. So whether you're a spiritual girl, religious girl, it don't matter. But if you can identify with this in any capacity, this is for you. And I want to affirm you. I want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know you're not to anything. You just became who you had to be to survive. You are, and you may be still living in survival mode. And for now, that is okay. And the point is that the goal will be that you try to learn how to come out of that. The goal will be you learn tactics, you learn strategies, you do things to change up in your personal life so that you can get out of that, and your energy will start to move and shift with you. However, for the time being, I just want you to know you're not alone. I want you to know that you don't have to feel insecure about something that has literally helped you become the person you are. Like I always say, I love the woman I am now. I love me so bad. However, it wasn't always the case. It wasn't always like this. I have definitely suffered from what I call pseudo confidence. I was very conceited, like through high school, but that's pseudo confidence. That wasn't for real love. That wasn't a for real understanding of my value. It was mostly on the outside. I liked how I looked. I liked that I was pretty. I liked, you know what I mean? It's the things that were inside. I didn't learn to love those things until I got older. And if I'm being honest, that's one of the things that helped me contribute to being able to lead more with my feminine energy when it calls for that. And I have to say when it calls for that, because people will literally, like, there's another thing that was floating around where all the guys, every time a girl says, oh, well, if you want, how do y'all have to depend on men? How is a man going to make it possible for you to be in your feminine energy? Like, that shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't have to be. And one, stop arguing with these men. I don't argue with men, and I highly advise y'all don't either. Stop arguing with them, because for one, if a person will go that far to try to twist something and misunderstand it, it means that they didn't want to understand to begin with. Because I understand both sides. I understand what the man is trying to say. However, what we are saying as women is simply there's a certain environment, and this speaks directly to what I'm talking about with survival mode. There's a certain environment, there's a certain energy that you have to create within yourself and around you in order for you to be comfortable sitting in that feminine energy, in order for you to be comfortable leading with that feminine energy. If you don't come from that, if you weren't taught that early on, you absolutely have to learn it, and that is okay. I used to be so embarrassed about that. I used to be so ashamed that, like, damn, like, my mama didn't give me all the girly hygiene things and girly maintenance and all that. That's not what was important, because my mama had 5 kids, one of her 2.5 jobs, and we saw her mostly on the weekends because she worked a lot. So what my mom taught me was hustle, grind. And until my early 30s, until like maybe 2-3 years ago, that's what I knew. That's what I went with. Obviously, I learned how to take care of myself as a woman, but I didn't really get deep into that true self-love energy, that true self-care until like 29, 30, maybe 3-4 years ago. Because again, like I said, everybody wasn't taught that. And I'm not ashamed about that anymore, because hustling and grinding contributed in large part to who I am now. Now I know, being in my feminine energy, I don't have to hustle, I don't have to grind, I create, I exist authentically, and everything I want, I manifest in my direction, because feminine energy is the true abundance. We'll do a video about that too one day, because feminine energy is where the true abundance is and where it flows from. But I just want to be clear in saying that I want y'all to know you're not alone. I even made I did a live video, and I was talking about how a guy basically tried to insult a bunch of women because he said something along the lines, he wasn't talking to me directly, but he said something along the lines of, oh, what does a 30-year-old woman have in common with NBA Youngboy? No cap, why are you listening to that? I'm like, well, goddamn, like, we can't do nothing. Black women have the hardest time just existing. We have the hardest time just existing. Like, let us be, leave us be. Like, I can't listen to a song now. I can't relate to Ghetto Angels. Like, if I came up a little rough, I can't relate to Lonely Child. Like, I just told you I had adult responsibilities at 12. Like, you know what I mean? And it's just like, no, that's not the entirety of my playlist. But if I think it's a bop and it got something I can relate to in it, I'm gonna play it. I like rap, and that's okay. Like, that's not, and they will use those kinds of things. They will use those sort of things to insult us, literally. And it sucks, because I'm gonna just be real and say it. And most of the time it comes from Black men telling us that we're too aggressive and too masculine. Now, people have to learn to differentiate between things that are actually your character and your personality versus things that can be changed, things that you can grow through, things that you can learn from. There's a big difference. And all I want you to, more than anything, what I want you to take away from this is the girls like me who were once insecure about that, who did look at that as an insult, or maybe you didn't see it as an insult, but it didn't feel good, because that's what it was for me at first. It was an insult to me, straight up and down. It became an insult, particularly because also there were guy friends in my life at a particular point, and not all at once, but it's happened more than once, like a time or two, where a guy friend would notice that was something that they could say to insult me. They would notice how disgruntled I got when they said something like, you're too aggressive, and they used it to piss me off. Like, they would once they noticed that worked to piss me off, then they would use it like continuously until I cut them off, obviously. But if you ever experienced that, if you're anything like me, if you came up with a lot of responsibilities, if you've been in leadership roles for a long time, no. You're not too anything. You're not too aggressive. You're not too masculine. Now, we may have to do some work and learn how to balance those energies, which I'm glad to help anybody learn how to do. But I want you to know, I want to affirm you. You are smart. You are beautiful. Sky is the limit for you. You are perfect just as you are. You are a product of the events in your life and what they have created. You can grow, you can evolve, you have the potential and the power to be anything that you want to be on this planet. And I hope that you know that other Black women like you love you, care about you. I love you, I care about you, and I do not want you to feel insecure about this anymore. I want you to simply understand that you were surviving, and don't ever let anybody insult you or make you feel a way for what you had to do, one, to survive, but more importantly, make you feel a way for the things that contributed to the person that you are. Make you feel a way for the things that have come together and created the woman that you are today. Because without the woman you were, without the girl that you were, you would not be the woman that you are today. So don't let anybody insult you for that. Please know that I love you. I appreciate you. If you are new here, please subscribe. There will be so much more. I'm going to try to continue to do daily drops. I'm going to definitely have some affirmation videos coming, meditation videos coming, all of those things that contribute to making us better women. And I hope that you stick around for more. Love you guys. Be well.